We need to talk about spiritual healing today because we've been getting it wrong forever. I've been studying this for 25 years. I've unpacked my entire life to figure out what exactly was going on, and I'll tell you the secret. The secret is that we've been too busy looking at the individual pieces instead of looking at the container. And what I mean by that is when we're born, we start with an empty container. And as we go through life, every time something happens, an event, a broken arm, a relationship upset, something doesn't go our way, it can be physical trauma, emotional trauma, overwhelm, anything at all that we do not resolve in the moment as it happens, which means anything we are not willing to feel gets put into this container. And as we get older, our container fills up. And you think of this as like a bowl filled with marbles. Every time something happened in your life you didn't like, well, there's another marble going in the bowl. So at some point in our life, we realize it's not fun to be carrying this bowl around, right? Because it impacts us. So what do? We go to therapy, maybe we try Reiki, maybe breath work, rebirthing. There's a lot of modalities out there. There's lots of ways to try to heal. But they all get it wrong because every single one of those, what they do, they look at the bowl, and instead of seeing the bowl, they see the individual marbles. And then we pull out a marble, we talk about it, think about it, try to make sense of it, try to make it okay. And if we're lucky, we can get rid of it. But that container is still there. You know, the container is still there. What I've done is I've uncovered why the container is there, what the container is, and why our body holds on to those events. So, what we do in Your Body Never Lies and at the Your Body Never Lies College is we look at the container, we figure out why it's there, and the good news is it doesn't need to be there. Once you figure out why it's there, you can actually get your body to just let go of the container. And then you will no longer accumulate old stress, old trauma, old upsets. You just won't. Now, this training I've been doing it for 25 years. And for most of that time, I had really no idea of how impactful the training was going to be. In 2015, though, my wife and I went through a wildfire. We lost our house and most of our belongings. And actually, I had to drive through a forest with trees on fire on both sides of the road. But the next day, we were totally fine. We had no residual trauma from a wildfire that nearly took our lives. And it was pretty wild, like to not have any residual trauma, not to have any residual upset. And it turns out that that's the reward of getting rid of that container that holds all the things we don't like about ourselves. Now, what's really fun is that the container, it's like an add-on. It's not really part of who we are. We self-created it, and we can undo it ourselves also. Doesn't require having a particular guru. It doesn't require taking particular pills. It doesn't require, chanting in a certain way or any kind of ritual. It simply requires an education in ourself and how we work. So I am a body language trainer. And what we do at the YBNL College is we learn to rewrite our internal body language. And we do that, we start by looking at that container and, watching the container dissipate, and it will no longer hold on to those marbles, those events that we don't like those events just sort of fall away. It doesn't actually get rid of our memories. I have full memory of all the physical and sexual abuse I encountered as a child and had to put up with. But it's just pictures in my mind. The emotional charges go away, and they go away without having to relive the events. That's what's really terrible about most therapies and healings is that you have to look at and relive or experience or otherwise cope with that thing you don't like. But when you go after the container, one day you wake up and like you'll have a memory and you'll just realize there's no charge on it anymore. It's really an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing. I mean, I just don't know how else to describe it. The joy that I have, the love that I have, I've always had, but it was masked by that container. And I suspect that you might have the same thing going on. Figure out what this is. You can take this class and in just a few weeks, like literally 3 or 4 weeks, spending only 4 or 5 hours a week. So in about 20 hours over the course of a month, you can teach your body, you can retrain your internal body language to not hold on to old upsets. And when you do, it's liberating. It frees us. And I would love for you to find out what this is. You can come to the YBNL College, register, get in the door, take some classes, and get this worked out. Because when you do, everything gets better. Absolutely everything. This is real spiritual healing. My sense of self used to be wrapped up in the abuse I suffered as a kid. That's just how this, like the filter through which I saw life. And when I started this healing, I was afraid I was going to lose my sense of self or lose the sense of, what matters to me. But I was totally wrong. My sense of self has increased dramatically, and it turns out that those old upsets were actually preventing me, from feeling the wholeness of who I am. I'd love for you to have the same result. The YBNLcollege.com, get in the door, sign up for classes. If you can't afford it, get in the door and then sign up for scholarships because they are available. This is priceless information. It's a priceless college. And, it just is. It actually gets results. It actually is a wonderful thing. And if you can let yourself take a chance, if you can let yourself reach out and consider that maybe you don't have to hold on to all those things you don't like about your history or yourself, and maybe become a new person, which really you just become more of yourself. Get to the YBNL College. I'd love to see you there, and I'd love to help you get through this material. It doesn't take long, and you're going to feel a great relief. Whole lot of love and understanding. It feels really good.